Today is the last day that I'm ever going back to my job. I'm quitting. No one there knows it just yet, but I have made the decision. I leave for California on Tuesday, and today's my last day of work for this week. And I'm not freaking going back. Future Jess here. I just wanted to pop in really quick to give a little context and kind of catch you guys up to some things I haven't mentioned. If you haven't watched any of my other videos, my grandma has been battling with leukemia. Well, first it was MDS, which is blood cancer, and then it developed into leukemia later on. In the beginning of last year, she got her first transplant to see if it could fix her blood cancer or cure it or help it, and her body rejected that. So this year, around the same time, she got another blood transplant. During this time that you guys have been watching me kind of share this part of my life, she's in the process of her body getting adjusted to this new transplant. And it does take some time. The doctors did say that it could take months to up to a year for her body to be fully used to this transplant, for it to come together and for her to start feeling better, pretty much. But what I hadn't mentioned was when I came back from visiting her, I was on the phone. I don't remember what day this was, but I was on the phone with my mom. And randomly one of a close cousins or a close family member called my mom. And my mom was like, oh, hold on, while we were on the phone, and she went to talk to the person. And then she came back on the phone to me, and she was confused. And I was like, what happened? And she was like, so-and-so, our family member, was telling her that she had been talking to my grandmother, and my grandmother said something about throwing a party, was planning on throwing a party. And in my head, I was like, alerts went off in my head, because first I'm like, what do you mean throwing a party? My grandma, first, if you know anything about my grandma does not like attention. She does not she's very much, she's the most generous, and just she just loves on other people and wants to help other people. That's one of the things that I love most about her. Just her heart is just pure and giving, and she likes the focus to be on other people, not herself. So when I heard that she was throwing a party for herself, I was kind of like, what the heck? So I'm panicking. And then as we're talking about it, then I think my grandma ended up calling my mom. And so I was like, make sure you put me on the other line. So I'm waiting. It's been a while, and my mom hasn't called me or clicked me over to join their conversation. So then I call my grandma. And then anyways, long story short, we get each other on a three-way. Really quick, I have to mention, the first time I went out there was because I was very concerned, because she ended up getting sick and she got an infection. I think it was pneumonia. It was actually pneumonia. And having an infection with leukemia is the number one cause of death in leukemia patients. So I was obviously really scared, and even though she just got this transplant and everything was looking up, I mean, her getting an infection could be the one thing that set her back and be life-threatening. So, I was just scared when I went out there, and so I went to go visit her, and she had lost a lot of weight, and it was she wasn't looking like herself, and as I showed you guys in the video, I ended up finding some protein drinks for her that was for cancer patients, and it helped her, and I think me just being there, because we have a special connection, everybody was saying how much she had changed, and they can see her having more energy. So I left, and I felt good, and everything seemed like it was going well. And I had planned to come back, obviously, but she knew my situation as far as I was trying to get out of my job, and I wanted to be able to put myself in a position to where I could easily come back to her and not have to worry about taking time off work. The plan was for me to come back, and have more freedom and more time to spend with her. And at that point, I knew, she was going to be feeling better, because the transplant that she got would have been working better with her body. And like I said, before I left, her infection was doing better, so it seemed. It affected her lungs to the point where she had to get put on oxygen. So she told me and my mom that she didn't really want us to find out this soon. And my grandma kept a lot of things from me mainly because she, didn't want to concern me. Like, she didn't even tell me about the fact that she had MDS, the blood cancer, for years. She's been dealing with that. But yeah, she was pretty much like, I just want to be really honest with you guys. And pretty much the doctor saying that, long story short, if things didn't start looking up, that she could have like 6 to 8 months to live. So obviously that's not something that anybody, that's like the worst of news. But at the time, we were being very hopeful because there was still a lot of positive things, like she was getting the best treatment at the best hospital, and just yeah, it was just this setback. It was just the infection. It was like, if we could get over that and get that fixed, and to where she can start, like, her lungs could be better. She can breathe without getting help with her breathing. If her lungs could just get better, and, her infection could get better, then she already has this transplant. So then once the transplant starts working better with her body, then everything should be looking better. But also, it was like an uncertainty. So she said she was thinking that it would be a good idea to have an opportunity to bring all her family and friends and clients that she's built over her years of having her successful esthetician business, and she just wanted to have this party just in case, just in case. I couldn't agree anymore. I was like, we've never had a big party like that for my grandma, because, like I said, she's not really the person that will like want all that attention on her. And she wanted to make it clear that she wasn't throwing a party for herself. This wasn't a her party. This wasn't for her. This was a family and friends party. She made that clear. She was like, this is not for me. This is for family and friends to come together and spend time with each other. And I was like, okay. Me and my mom was like, okay. Like, obviously it was a lot. It was hard, but my grandma's also very much like we didn't see her cry once throughout this. And my grandma's very much like, I'm sure she was emotional on the inside, but she was very like connected to her faith, and that got her through a lot. Like, she would just listen to gospel music a lot, and she just had a lot of faith, and she, was very practical. Like, she just didn't run off of her feelings. She wanted to be in control of her life, and not let her sickness or whatever run control over her. So she was like, okay, I'm not certain of the future, but so I at least want to be able to have my family and the people that I love the most and care about the most, I want to have that time. So, and she wanted to plan it herself. Her and her amazing boyfriend told her to let me know if there was anything we could do. So the plan was to have the party on June 25th. Was the date of the party, I believe. June 25th. So that was the plan. So obviously, like I said, it was really sad, but we're just like hoping for the best. And I'm excited because I'm going to be able to go back to California, to go see my grandma. I had to tell my job again, which they wasn't like the best. And this is why I just don't like working at it. Like, I don't know. I don't want to sound it's like that's one thing I don't like about having to work for someone, because I didn't like I was so used to, before obviously doing social media for so long and working for myself, like wasn't used to having an answer to somebody or request time off and them like, for approving it or not. I hated not having that freedom. And plus it was like my grandma. So I was like, I'm not requesting this time off. This is not a question. Like, I have to go see her. I took a week off from like June 25th to like July 3rd or something like that. A little over a week. Okay, I think I told the story wrong. The first time she had the infection, she just was unsure. The second time she called, I think that's when she mentioned the 6 to 8 months or something like that, which is like the worst case scenario. So I think that was towards the end of May, and the party was like in a month. So the time that she called me, she was saying how she may be able to get out of the hospital because she had been in the hospital ever since I had went to see her the first time. And she was like, but if she gets out of the hospital, she'll need somebody to take care of her. And she lives with her boyfriend, but her boyfriend, you know, is very hardworking. It has to work. And they have been making it work for so long. And I was like, well, I'll come. And she was like, are you sure with your job? And I was like, I have to. Like, they're just going to have to deal with it. I'm like, I don't know. The future's uncertain. So I was like, I'll come out there early before the party and I'll be there with you, you know, and just be there to take care of you so you can be able to be home and enjoy being home and not have to stay in the hospital for that long until the party and whoever knows what. So that's what I had decided to do. So I had to tell my job again that I wanted to change up. I was like, sorry, actually I'm going to be gone for longer and I'm leaving earlier. So the next part of the video, you're going to see me on my last day of going into work before I go to California for a second time in less than a couple months, which will be the first time in my life that I've ever flown. Obviously I went 1,000 times for her. It was just like kind of crazy, you know. I mean, I wasn't even caring about flying. My fear, I was gonna make it to California to be with her, and whatever it took is whatever it took, you know. So here's me getting ready for my last day of work. And then me going off to California. Today is the last day that I'm ever going back to my job. I'm quitting. No one there knows it just yet, but I have made the decision. I leave for California on Tuesday, and today's my last day of work for this week. And I'm not freaking going back. I'm gonna take a risk. It feels scary, but it feels so freaking empowering. I got a lot of work to do though, because I'm doing something that you really shouldn't ever do, and that's quit a job before you have another job. But technically I'm not quitting. I'm not gonna put my 2 weeks in. I'm gonna be gone for about a month. I'm not gonna put my 2 weeks in until 2 weeks from here. So I have within the next 2 weeks to figure out a game plan. I'm obviously not gonna say that I quit or put my 2 weeks in until I know I have some stuff lined up for sure. But I just don't want to go to this job. I'm getting dressed for work. I gotta hide the excitement when I go into work because people are gonna feel like I'm up to things. Anyways, I'm just ranting. But yeah, I just wanted to talk to the future me and say, you did a good job today by doing this. This is something that really was the change that you needed to make in your life, to take a risk with yourself, take a chance in yourself. And I'm so proud of you. I know you were so scared. Wait, am I talking to my future self or my present self? Okay, I'm talking to my future Jess. Future Jess, I know you're looking at me like, I'm so proud of you, girl. Now my career is flourishing. I'm that yoga teacher / astrology reader / women's group, or hosting so many women circles and helping women across the world learn how to find the beauty in themselves and go after their passions and live their life the way they want to, and have the confidence in that and loving themselves, and having a community of people use astrology and spirituality in their self-journey, self-love, self-discovery journey, self-healing journey. Still trying to figure out a title for everything, but somewhere around that realm, that's gonna happen. And you're doing everything, Jess, today to make that happen. And it freaking scares you, and you can't really tell anybody because it sounds kind of cuckoo. But yeah. All right, let me go off to my last day at work.